don't know about you, but I love to spread misinformation. You know, sometimes one of my favorite pastimes is actually to go into Instagram comments and I just see some random post. And what I love to do is just comment some misinformation. It's kind of interesting how something can be seen as valid just because it's popular. But hey, I know for a fact that you watching this video right now have heard a bunch of things in life that are not true. The tooth fairy does not exist. This is a honest to God story, bro. This is I'm not even lying about this. It might sound crazy, but just bear with me. When I was younger, one day me and my sister went to school and we came back home and we found a note. This note, by the way, was not written in the handwriting of my mum or my dad, but it claimed to be from the tooth fairy. There was a basket on top of a wardrobe that had fallen onto the floor, and the tooth fairy was basically saying that in her coming into our room to take either my tooth or my sister's tooth, she must have knocked the basket off the top of the wardrobe because apparently her wand was too big. That might be a pause, but to this day, my mother and my father both vehemently deny that one, they wrote the letter, or two, had anything to do with said letter. It got to a point that years and years later, like 2 decades later, I asked my mum, I was like, you know, like eventually you have to tell me if you had anything to do with that, because like eventually I'm gonna have children of my own, and if the tooth fairy isn't real, I need to know, like, oh wow, when his tooth falls out, like you need to wait for him to sleep and put a little fiver under his pillow and take the tooth and dispose of it. I need to know that. Here are some facts that are surprisingly not true. The shortest war in history lasted 38 seconds between Vatican City and San Marino. This is not true. Funnily enough, this fact was actually included in one of my previous ASMR fact videos. Apparently it's not true. Let's read. The actual shortest war, the Anglo-Zanzibar War in 1896, lasted about 38 to 45 minutes, not seconds. No 38-second war between those two microstates ever happened. Well, if that's the case, then who started this rumor? Who started the fib? Me personally, I'm a fibber. I like to, like I said, start fibs. But who started this one and why? Was it intentional like me, or was it accidental? Wow, it lasted 38 minutes to 45 minutes. Let's just say it lasted 38 seconds. How about that? Folklore is really strange like that. Honey never spoils because it contains natural micro-robots that eat bacteria. I myself have heard that honey never spoils. Natural honey never spoils. Apparently, this is a falsehood. It's not true. Let's read. Honey's low water content, acidity, and natural hydrogen peroxide prevent most bacterial growth. No micro-robots are involved, sadly. So, natural honey does not spoil, but it's not due to micro-robots. First of all, now if you ever thought that it was because of micro-robots, this is not a dig to you, but what was wrong with you? Obviously, micro-robots don't exist, and even if they existed, why would they not be working for SpaceX with Elon Musk? Why would they just be in honey? Bro. Honey, however, does not spoil, so if you ever thought that like I did, we are correct. Honey doesn't spoil, but it's because of its low water content, acidity, and natural hydrogen peroxide. Natural honey, by the way, guys, not the honey that you can buy in stores. That stuff will expire. Look at the expiry date. Don't be drinking no expired honey. Don't put it in your cereal. Don't put it on your cheese. Don't put it on your apples. Don't do it. A flock of flamingos is called a flamboyance because of their dramatic personalities. A flock of flamingos is called a flamboyance. That just, honestly, it's one of those things that you know it's not true, but it just needs to be true, because if it was true, it needs to be true for the law, for the plot, for the story. If it was true, it would be so perfect. A flamboyance. Shout out to whoever came up with this falsehood, because this falsehood was actually perfect. Flamboyance really is one of the most collective nouns, but it is just whimsical English. Not because flamingos are particularly dramatic divas. What kind of explanation is this? What is a flock of flamingos called? Wait, hold on. I might be wrong here. I think what this is trying to tell me is a flock of flamingos. Why is it doing it with these facts, bro? Just like the second fact, it was actually true, but this was the part of it that was incorrect. Now, I guess a pack of flamingos is called flamboyance. But it's not because of their dramatic personalities. Again, who thought that a pack of flamingos was called a flamboyance because of their dramatic personalities? A pack of flamingos is called a flamboyance because, like I said, it's literally the perfect word to call it. A pack of lions is a pride, not because they're prideful, because it sounds cool. A pack of wolves, not because they're packs. It just sounds cool. That's tough. The Great Wall of China is visible from space with the naked eye. This is a fact that I remember. I have included in a previous ASMR video that I have created in the past. Again, this might be true, but I have to read the context, because the context is what really just kills this whole thing for me, mate. Some part of this is false though. Let's read. It's not visible to the naked eye from below Earth orbit. Contrary to what most textbooks have claimed for decades, you need good zoom or ideal conditions even with a camera. Now, this is interesting. They say that the Great Wall of China and the Great Barrier Reef, I think it's in Australia or New Zealand, one of those places. Oceania, that region of the world, right? These two things are things that you can see from space. I'm assuming the Great Barrier Reef, the Great Wall of China is man-made and the Great Barrier Reef isn't, but they are both so great. Apparently this isn't the case. If you were just standing on the moon or in the International Space Station and you just hit one of these and you looked at the Earth, you won't be able to see these things. You would need basically like a Samsung Galaxy X2, X12, X15, S15, whatever the newest Samsung is, that can zoom into my eyeball from China itself. Really, really good zoom and ideal conditions. So basically the pollution in China has to be cool for that day, for that hour, for that period, for that minute that you're just zooming in on your phone. And then you might be able to see the Great Wall of China. Then you actually might be able to see Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith doing some Karate Kid stuff, because Jackie Chan actually got permission from the Chinese government. He got permission from the Chinese government to shoot scenes from Karate Kid on the Great Wall of China, because Jackie Chan is built like that. He's one of those. Hold tight, Jackie. Rush Hour 4. I hope Rush Hour 4 is as funny and as racist as, the other Rush Hours, because if it's not, then you might as well keep it. Don't ruin the trilogy, just hold that. But if it's good, if it's racist, Get out the way, Kobe. Bye, Gayaka. If it's racist, please bring. Napoleon was unusually short, around 5'2". One of my friends is actually unusually short. He's around 5'4". This is a falsehood. Not the fact that one of my friends is 5'4". He is 5'4", and you cannot change that, brother. But Napoleon was actually 5'7" in modern units, average or slightly above average for French man of his time. The short myth came from French to English measurement confusion and, of course, British propaganda. Man, there's all kinds of propaganda and stuff, man. American propaganda, British propaganda. I'm sure, like, in your life, you've seen some British propaganda. You know what's so crazy about propaganda? When I was in year 9, year 8, year 10, I love history. History is one of my favorite subjects, along with physics and mathematics. When we were learning about Nazi Germany, we literally learned about censorship and propaganda. And, learning about it was interesting because as you grew up, you already know what propaganda looks like. And so now you see propaganda in everything. Britain, do USA, like, there's so much propaganda in the world to push. Hey, I'm trying to make you guys sleep and relax and enjoy this video. We don't need to get political. It's not really about politics, it's just about countries and what they want to be done. Which means if they want something to be done, let's say A to be done, then B needs to have happened, even if B hasn't happened. So if you want to do something here, you need this to have occurred, even if this thing hasn't occurred. You need to tell the people over here where you want it done that this has happened to make this justified. Propaganda 101, baby. Vikings wore horned helmets in battle. Apparently this is a falsehood. Well, some part of this is a falsehood. Please, let's read. Zero evidence. Horned helmets appeared in the 19th century romantic art and opera costumes, not real Viking graves. So I'm guessing they would dig Viking graves and not find any horned helmets. Propaganda, it's a history. The 300 Spartans. That movie, 300, is one of my favorite movies ever. Right? I can recall lines from that movie very similar to what I can do with The Dark Knight. I can recall whole scenes of that movie. I love it so much. The real story, however, is not as dramatic. It's not as amazing. It's not as heroic. So if Hollywood wants to adapt it for modern TV, modern screens, they need to make the story different. They need to change history. Very similar to this. History is always changed to some degree. Depending on who's telling the history, the narrative will fit that society's need. If I need to make something spectacular, but this story is cool, but it's not as spectacular as I need it, well, even though this is supposed to be an historic event that I'm retelling, I'm going to tell it different to it happen. Back in the day, I'm trying to put you guys on right now. Back in the day, when I guess biologists would go into the tombs of pharaohs and people that died in ancient Egypt, they believed that into the afterlife they would take everything that was in their tomb with them, right, in their coffin tomb. So they would put all their most valuable stuff and bury them with them. One of the things that was found in the tombs of the most popular people, the most important people, was black seed oil. And ever since I found out, I've been taking black seed oil like every day for like at least a year now. And to be fair, I take a lot of supplements, so I don't even know what the difference is, what it's doing for me. But propaganda it's helping me, I think. But shout out to the Egyptians, shout out to you, Pharaoh. Daddy long legs are the most venomous spiders in the world, but their fangs are too small to bite humans. To be fair, I've never heard this in my life. Have you heard this? That a daddy long legs is the most venomous. Not a tarantula, not a black widow, a flipping daddy long leg. Look, there's a daddy long legs right in the corner of my room, right up there. But because its fangs are too small, I'm cool. I doubt that. I never thought that, by the way, but let's keep reading. They're not especially venomous. Most are harvestmen, not even spiders. What? Isn't a spider arachnid with 8 legs? What is a harvestman? So what do you mean they're not even spiders? Of course they're spiders. If a daddy long legs has 8 legs, you, my friend, are a spider. It's either you're a spider or you're an octopus, and that is no octopus. So if that's not octopus, it's a spider. Harvestman, what is that? The few that are spiders have mild venom. Damn, they have venom, huh? The whole sentence is a classic urban legend. That's what I was talking about. That's the word, an urban legend, a myth. That's the word I was looking for in the beginning of this video. These are myths, these are urban legends, but people start these like me, like you intentionally spread disinformation. The difference, if you don't know, between misinformation and disinformation is misinformation is spread unintentionally, and disinformation is spread knowing that this is the wrong stuff, i.e. propaganda. That is disinformation 101. But misinformation might be, I don't know, if I thought that I saw something, like I thought I saw you and you together, even though you're both in relationships. So I was like, damn, you guys are cheating on your partners. But actually, they were just doppelgangers of the actual people. Like, they had nothing to do with the OGs. But let's say I decided to snitch. That would be me spreading misinformation, unintentionally wrong. But disinformation is different. Propaganda 101, baby. Humans only use about 10% of their brains. See, this one I've heard before. We actually use virtually all parts of our brains, just not all simultaneously. The 10% myth comes from misrepresentations of 19th century neurological research. Bow. Misrepresentations is another word for what I was describing about how, like, the movie like 300 was made. They misrepresent history in order to suit the current. And in the 19th century, apparently, the neurological research was misrepresented. And humans actually use most of their brains, if not all parts of their brains. Our brains, I say they as in like you guys, like some humans and I'm some, predator or something. But yeah, shout out to us human beings though. At least 95% of our brains. We are so clever, bro. Shaving makes hair grow back thicker and darker. This one is something that I thought for the longest time. I don't know if you guys can tell. I recently shaved, but I can grow facial hair very similar to Javonte Davis. I can grow facial hair like these. But underneath this patch right here, and this patch right here, everything on top is cool. But this patch right here doesn't grow. So what I did was I would constantly shave, constantly, hoping that not only would it grow longer and darker, so I can get that nice beard look. But alas, I should say, it never happened. I've been known this was a falsehood because I'm living proof that it does not work. And if it did work, then there will be no people with patchy beards. There will be no people with patchy massive part in life, don't they? You need good genes, and in order to have good genes, you need to constantly wash them. Constantly make sure you add laundry softener, fabric softener to your jeans, and they should be good. It only appears darker and thicker because the blunt cut tip feels coarser and the regrowth starts dark. No sun bleaching yet. The follicle itself has not changed. Damn. That one hit hard. Hit close to home. The tongue has distinct taste zones. Wow. Sweet on the tip. Pause. Oh my god. I might have to end this video. Okay, I'm back. Pause. Jesus. Bitter on the back, etc. I think on the sides it's sour, and in the middle it's neutral. But I remember learning this when I was in year 2 or 3. Taste buds for all 5 tastes are scattered across the entire tongue. The tongue map, oh my god, was a century-old mistranslation that refuses to die. I like the way this is being worded. It refuses to die. People have been trying to crush this falsehood for centuries, but no can do, buddy. We want to believe this so bad. We are putting it in schools, goddammit. We're teaching the kids this information is falsehood. Oh, I love that. I love spreading misinformation too. Live on. The tongue has distinct taste zones. Live on. Bats are blind. It's not true. It is a falsehood. Let's read. Most bats see perfectly well. Some better than most humans in low light. Wow. They just use their echolocation as primary sense for hunting in darkness. You know what's so crazy about this? So last night I had a dream, and in my dream I saw a couple bats and they were just chilling. I don't know why I decided to do this. I guess I act different in my dreams, but I decided to flip them off. You know, double middle finger. But the reason I did it is because I had a feeling that bats were blind. And that feeling comes from this falsehood that I've been taught all my life, that bats can't see. So obviously I flipped them off because they couldn't see me. So I thought. And then I just woke up. I wonder what that means. Goldfish only have a 3-second memory. Wrong. Falsehood again. Let's read. Goldfish can remember things for months. Wow. Month is a long time, bro. Mazes, feeding routines, even distinguishing shapes and sounds. Damn. Shout to the goldfish. The memory of a goldfish. It's not even brief, it's months. The 3-second myth came from a badly designed and misreported experiment. This is literally why it is so important to represent things how they are and exactly how they are. It's one of the reasons I think naturally it feels very frustrating to be misrepresented in an argument. So let's say you're engaging in discourse with someone and you say something and then they'll be like, oh, so you mean this? And it's like, no, actually, I mean exactly what I said. I like strawberries. Oh, so you hate bananas? It's like, no, mate. I like strawberries. I didn't make a comment about bananas. Don't straw man me, bro. One of my biggest pet peeves in life is being misrepresented, being straw manned. Don't do it. If I didn't say anything, if I didn't say a specific thing, then don't say I said a specific thing. If you want to make an argument, argue on exactly what I said, because what I said is what I believe. Facts. Lightning never strikes the same place twice. Falsehood. To be fair, I've seen lightning strike the same place twice, over and over again. I've seen, I watch Flashpoint Paradox, a lot of times. I've read the comics, I've read variations of the comic. Lightning clearly had to strike the same place twice for Flashpoint Paradox to work. I've also seen, in movies and in real life, tall buildings, they get hit by lightning multiple times because they are literally set up to be hit by lightning. So, let's read anyway. Wow, look at that. Tall buildings get hit repeatedly. The Empire State Building is struck 25 times per year. What did I say? Lightning loves the same path if conditions remain favorable. This actually makes a lot of sense. Because all lightning wants to do is discharge, right? The charge wants to discharge. Naturally, it's like a Meeseeks from Rick and Morty. The Meeseeks wants to die because, existence is pain to a Meeseeks, and you need to fulfill your task so I can leave, right? As the Meeseeks. Very similar to electricity. Electricity wants to decharge, so if a route is the best way to decharge, you can go through route A and route B, and route A is really smooth and really perfect conditions. And you can also discharge of route B, but route B is it's a bit tough, it's a bit hard. Pause. It's lightning would always pick route A if route A was readily available, because it's just the easiest method. It's the most natural thing. Shout out to lightning. Cracking your knuckles. Don't know why I did all that. I'm probably going to have to edit all that out because I don't want to interrupt your guys' sleep, and some of you don't like the sound of that, I'm sure, because some people don't in life. No actual link has ever been found in a long-term study. Even the guy who cracked only one hand for 60 years had no difference. Someone took one for the team. You should have named him the hero of all of us. He took one for the team to disprove this falsehood. No difference. 60 years of only cracking one hand. 60 years later, he could do this. And he can do this just as well. The Sahara Desert used to be underwater 15 million years ago. I think I've heard something like this falsehood. Parts of it were indeed ocean millions of years ago, but 15 million is wrong timing and scale. The Green Sahara, humid period, humans only, what? The Green Sahara humid period, humans actually saw was only 5,000 to 10,000 years ago. Oh, I see. Bro, the punctuation was terrible in that last sentence. Golly. Chameleons change color to blend in with their surroundings. What? Of course they do. What are you trying to say? Camouflage is only for one reason. They change color far more for temperature regulation, mood communication, and territory display than pure hiding. I think octopus, they change color out of fear. They fart ink out of fear, and they, camouflage to set you up. They set up and they just, and then that's what octopus do. Apparently chameleons are not like that. I mean, I don't know if anyone ever thought that the only reason was to blend with the surroundings. Like, just because you have this ability, why would you just use it to blend with surroundings? You're not Randall from Monsters Incorporated. And even Randall, he would camouflage to do evil, like to commit crimes. Randall would do it for evil, like, no, chameleons are like that though. speculation. Yeah, shout out to them. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain on Earth, from base to peak. I'm sorry, but there's no way that this is a falsehood, because if it is, then everything I've ever known to be true is a lie. There's no way Mount Everest is not the tallest mountain on Earth. Please tell me, say it ain't so. Yeah, okay. So apparently there's another mountain that is taller than Mount Everest by like 2,000 meters. But most of that 2,000 meters, very similar to an iceberg, is underwater. So technically, it's taller than Mount Everest. Listen, if this mountain was over here and Mount Everest was over here, Mount Everest would be 2,000 meters taller, my guy. Sorry, it doesn't matter that you are underwater. What can we do about that? We can't tell. We don't even know what's at the bottom of our oceans, G. So I couldn't care less. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain on Earth. Shout out to Mount Everest. My life can't be a lie. It had there are certain facts that hold your whole reality and existence in the balance, and you cannot let go of them. Just like the sun is hot. If someone randomly was able to prove that the sun is cold, like, what are we doing with our lives? Albert Einstein failed math in school. He actually excelled at math from a very young age. The myth came from a misunderstanding of Swiss grading. Wow. 6 equals the best and 1 is the worst. And a misread report card. So he actually completely aced his tests, and I guess the UK or America or the Western world, they saw this and they attributed it to their own systems and their own logic instead of delving into what it meant, finding the system, finding the code. They made one up themselves and therefore concluded that this literal genius only became a genius later in his life, and he wasn't a genius at school when he was young. In fact, he was horrible. Nice one. Which of these falsehoods were your favorite, and which of these falsehoods do you refuse to disbelieve? For me, the Mount Everest one, it might be false, but for me, it is true. Which one of these falsehoods is true for you?